Good morning. Welcome to Quilts and Coffee. We are planning something a little bit different for today. Because of the weather, we decided we're going to videotape and we'll post it on Quilts and Coffee. And anyway, since National Quilting Month is this month, we decided we were going to talk a little bit about different types of quilting. And we are going to be talking about paper piecing today. Dawn is going to be demonstrating paper piecing on the 95Q, which is a sewing machine. I will be doing paper piecing in the hoop on the embroidery machine on the Epic tool. So we're going to let Dawn take over for the 95Q.
Okay. First of all, paper piecing is done on your piece of paper. You're actually going to sew on the line, and then when your block or your quilt is completed, you get to tear all these little pieces of paper off, but not until you have your project completed do you want to do that. So with the 95Q, it is on special this month also, so come in and talk to us about that. I personally have this machine, received it as a birthday present. It was a big surprise, and I have used it, I bet 90% of the time since I've received it. What I like about it is that it has a laser light, so it can guide you on your line. So you can see the bright red, bright pink, red line, so it will help you. It also has a fix button, which will do 3 small stitches, and that replaces your having to reverse to set your seam. Has a scissors, which will cut your thread for you. Has a needle up and down. You can start and stop your machine on the front of the machine or with your foot feet. So there's a lot in here. It is the sister to the Epic 2, so it will do everything that machine does except do the embroidery. There's no way you can hook a hoop to this, but let's get started. This product that we have is called Quilt Block Foundation Papers. There are 42 of them in this packet. It is enough to make a baby quilt, and inside it shows you how many squares you need to make this size, so it will go all the way to a king quilt. And also on the inside are some really good instructions. So for making this block, they told me to cut 2 3.5-inch squares and then cut them on the diagonal from the light. In the dark fabrics, you need your 4-inch center square, and then we cut 4.5-inch squares and on the diagonal to get our outer triangles. So the first thing we do is we center our fabric. This is the 4-inch square it said to start with. You put the wrong side on the wrong side of your paper, and since it's number 1, we want it to cover. So if you hold it up to the light, you can position it where you need it to be so that you have enough seam on all sides. You can use a glue stick or take a straight pin to hold it in place. And then the first thing they want you to do is to get a seam allowance. So you fold your paper on your first line between 1 and 2. Fold it here, and then we have a ruler available at the store that's called Add a Quarter. And so you lay that on the edge. It's got a lip, so it rides right against it. And so we're going to cut the excess fabric off. Now we have a 1/4 inch. We fold it open again. Take our second color, which is white in my case. You go right sides together, position it in the middle of your piece. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to sew on that line. So you start a 1/4 inch beyond, and you sew a 1/4 inch beyond the other place. But you also want to use a stitch length of 1.5, because that will make the paper easier to take off. So I just tapped my foot feed once and it lowered. So now we're going to sew. It's fixed the beginning of the stitch. Sew on the line. A 1/4 inch beyond. Can hit the fix button. Come on. Okay, and then we'll cut the threads. So then, when you go to the back, you have your 1/4" seam, and you open it out. And this is where you can go to your mat, which I have a wool cutting mat or wool pressing mat next to me. I also have a small cutting board underneath. So then that is pressed open. So then you would continue with number 3, 4, and 5. So I am going to skip 3 and 4 and go to 5 so we can put number 6 on, just to keep our demonstration a little more timely. So again, you would fold it on that line, and you might have to rip the paper just a little bit. You can see it through here. You take your 1/4" ruler again, line that up, trim it off, fold it, and take the next piece, which would be the last one. Again, right sides together, place that on there. You can pin it in place if you want. If the pieces are too large or too small, you can also use a glue stick to hold them in place. So then we go down, we're gonna fix really small stitch so the paper tears away. Stop and cut it. So then we open it out, compress it. Otherwise you're getting up and down to go to your ironing board, and for little quick paper piecing projects you don't have to do that. So now we're going to go to the last corner, and so you fold your paper out again, and you can tear it a little bit. I folded it on the line. Trim it again using the add a 1/4. Okay, open the paper back up. We'll go to the last outside edge, which is I chose a red. So you just center that piece on there, flip it over. We'll go to our line. You can lower your feed dog, press your foot on the front of the machine also. Paper piecing provides a very nice way to get precise points. Sometimes that's hard for us to do. So then when we open it up, we have our block, well, one corner of our block completed. And then you can press it. So we have very nice points. If it's not exactly where you want, you can go back and sew again, but I was on the line, so that's what you do. So now if I was done with the block, they have the 1/4" seam allowance written on the paper also. So then you would take your ruler, your rotary cutter. You can use this ruler again. I just turn it over so the lip's not there. You trim it off, so then when you sew your blocks together, you have another perfect line to go by. But this has been perforated now. I'd like fix that edge. So then the paper just tears right off. And you might have to dig out that piece. But these will all come out then after you've sewn your blocks together. So you get a lot of little scraps. So this is with a pre-printed foundation paper to start with. We have some books, couple books, one for sure in the store called Paper Piecing with Alex Anderson, and she goes step by step with you through the same process I did. And then what you would do with her book is you would copy this paper on a copy machine and use a foundation paper. So you can copy this as many times as you need blocks. And so they are all numbered as to which color fabric you would start with, and then you follow that order. This particular one, you would get perfect flying geese. So if you have questions, come on down. I'll be glad to help you with the normal sewing machine routine. This is another one pattern that you could do with the sunburst or the star. And those points are terrible if you don't have to, if you would try to piece them together by yourself, but if you paper piece them, they turned out fantastic. So the other item I guess we had to show you was our iron, our Steam Fast, and that is a charging base. It is cordless, so the base is plugged in, but then it has a charging port so that it can be taken out and used. It's also steam iron, I think I said that, but instead of being connected with a cord, you just take your iron and you can go where you need it to go. And then when it's not as hot as you like, stick it back on the charging base and it warms it right back up for you. So, all right, with that, Barb's turn.